All right, YouTube, Jeff Lindsay in the garage. About 6 p.m. on Friday the 25th. We cleaned on up on this patch we put in down here. We got a section right in here that needs to be repaired. This side here seems to be fine. We got one little hole here. We've got some short strand fiberglass body filler or something right here. One spot right here, and we knew it was there. And again, I think that's where that weather stripping, the bulk of that weather stripping lays right in here, that biggest section here and here. And that's what's caused these problems, that water sitting in there around that weather stripping. All right, YouTube, we came along and cut out the patch that we showed for this area. And one of the things I'd like to share that I will do occasionally, and I did it on this one, but just because it was kind of a multi-bend part, is I flattened this part out. It had two 90s. It had one here and one here. And what I did is before I flattened them out, I marked them with a Sharpie. If you can see that, maybe so. I marked those with a Sharpie, flattened this piece out, and then I was able to take that piece and just transfer it as the pattern to my good sheet metal, the new sheet metal. Transferred it, made my cut. And then I marked on the new piece where those 90s were. And you can see, I mean, obviously, there's one here and there's one here in this piece, in this little tail end sticking down here, or the state of Florida, whatever you want to call it. But anyway, that's what we did. We just made our marks. Once we got this piece cut out, we made our 90 marks. Carried it in there to the little sheet metal brake, broke our 90s, and then we did take the belt sander and just kind of refine that part down a little bit to where it would fit in. In this area right here, I did not grind all the way down smooth. I was a little worried about the penetration into the back side there, because this is the area that's going to be catching on that striker. I did take the door closing mechanism that mounts in there. I put it up there. There's a little bit of penetration on the back side, not much, but the piece, because of these recessed pieces here and all, it takes up a little room. The piece fit in there good, so I'm not worried about that. The only thing that happened to me on this piece that I didn't like, but I really can't do much about it. This side that looks like this, where it's got that stamping, it was so thin that when I tried to weld it to this, I actually let this piece come up under to try to save that piece there. And it was so thin and rusty that it just kind of went away. So what we did is we took our little old rounding rock, whatever you want to call it. We rounded our hole back out pretty smooth here. And then we just took that little belt sander and come on up and smoothed everything out flat. I put that piece in there. It looks fine. There's a little bit of a gap, about 1/8 of an inch here. Once all this is body work and painted, and the door lock mechanism and all is painted, I don't think it'll be a big issue. It'll be noticeable for somebody that's looking for something to see, but for the average person, they'll never see it. And there again, it's not a show car. It's just it's going to be a beat around, drive around car. So little things like that don't worry me that much. I wanted to try to save it, but I couldn't. It just burned away. We're going to try to tackle this corner next. May not get to it today as far as finishing it, but we're going to definitely cut it out and work at it for a little while. So that's where we at, YouTube. We're still on the door, but we're making good progress, and we're fixing some bad stuff. My intention on this thing is because I can get inside here, I'm not really doing much to the inside of these outside or these kind of perimeter patches that aren't recessed down in here. Down in here, I treated the back side of this stuff as I went. Right here, I'm not real worried about it because I'm gonna get in there. I'm gonna be able to get in there and actually spray paint all that. Put some of that rust encapsulator stuff in there, and then put a good thick coat of paint. Hey tubers, Jeff Lindsay in the garage, September the 3rd. It is about 12:30, lunchtime. And we just getting out on the car door, on the driver's side door. We're still on it. We left off with this area here and needing to come up into this area, this top corner. We got this patch in and just got an initial grind on it. We've got a few more places to weld in. This patch right here has been a little bit of a challenge, not too terribly bad. It does have a little shape to it other than just the 90 and then whatever, you know, the ends need to end up doing. We had a strip after we made our cut. We cut the patch out up to this lip. And there was a strip left under there with a couple of spot welds. We drilled those out, got this out of the way, so this piece will actually go back under like it's supposed to in this area. We buckled that up just a little, but we can make that go right back down. But there's kind of what we're looking at. And once we get that patch in, we're gonna go back over this whole end and grind it all down nice and smooth, and go ahead and probably put some short strand fiberglass in a few little areas. We're gonna try not to put too much because this is the end of the door that's gonna be closing into the striker bolt. So we're gonna try not to put too much, just fill in a couple of spots where it's just doesn't look good, because this will be the end that you see a lot of. So once we do that, we're gonna come down here and see how big of an area we need to get here. And I'm hoping that that's gonna be the last one. I've been around the door a couple of times, good. Don't see anything else that we need to patch. Of course, that's enough patches for one door, but that's just the way it is. We'll flip the door back over. Our door skin patch on this corner needs to be finished. We'll do that. And hopefully today, late this afternoon maybe, or for sure tomorrow, we'll be able to get this door prepped and maybe shot with epoxy. If not, hopefully we'll get close. And then we'll pull this other door down over here and get started on it. Don't know how much I'll video of that one. It's not nearly as bad from what I can gather. So that's where we at right now, YouTube. One more patch here, and then one small one on the other end. I do have to come off of this end. This is the piece that I cut off. There was this 90 here, and then there's a flap that 90 down to cover this. And rather than trying to make that, I cut this piece off. So I will make a piece, and you can see where it was plug welded to that. I'll make another piece, and that'll cap that end off. So that's where we're at. And as we have some more, we'll bring you along. All right, YouTube, Jeff Lindsay in the garage. Still Sunday afternoon and still working on this old door. Got this piece in. We got our flap put in, folded down. We let this piece come all the way under to where that spot weld, or whatever kind of weld you want to call them, resistance weld, was at. And there's also one here, right there. So this piece came all the way back under like it was, like that strip we took out. And we pretty much rebuilt this whole front corner, this upper corner. I really didn't think it was going to be that bad, YouTube. It turned out a lot worse than expected. But I think we've got a pretty good repair. We've got some weld in here that I think I'm going to leave it and just come in there with some filler or fiberglass, short strand fiberglass, and get it smooth. I do not want to take out any more of that weld than I have to. I don't want to thin that out, it being on this closing end of the door. But it looks pretty good. It's shaped out good. There is a contour to this door here, so this last piece that we put in, we put it on the shrinker, this piece here, and we got that bend. And this piece came down and ended up flush with this one, so we just took our belt sander and polished it all nice and smooth. It turned out pretty much according to the measurements of the other door. And of course this last piece was about gone, so there wasn't much as far as getting measurements off of that one. That's what we had to work with, YouTube. We got our basic shape out of it, and you can see where we put the Sharpie line. That was our brake line for 90 here. So this outside edge here is not a welded edge. Our weld ended up being in the valley part. Actually out here where we put this end cap in, both of these are outside welds, and just ground back down the best I could to make it look, you know, kind of like a finished edge there, not a welded edge. But there again, it's a ton better than it was. I know it's not perfect. I think with some body work, some filler and stuff, it's gonna look pretty good, hopefully. So we're gonna move on around, just give you a shot of what we ended up with. And I did mark right here in this area right here. There's a upholstery hole, I'm assuming for the door panel. There's one there, and then we'll come back and drill that one out right there. But I did remember to mark that, thankfully. I'm sure I found it when we started putting the door panel on, but that's probably 2 years away. So we're gonna move on down, see how bad this piece is, how far out we need to go, try to get it patched. And then the next step on this door is going to be to flip it over, finish the skin patch that we started on. All right, YouTube, we're going to try to keep this last little segment short. I've stopped and started about 4 times. Again, of course you don't know, but this is the last patch. We just finished up. 16 gauge, a little thicker than what we've been working with, but it turned out good. We ended up with about 8 or 10 patches on this door, which is, you know, I know it's a lot. It's probably more than what we needed to do, but that's what we had to work with, and that's what we ended up doing. So I'm gonna keep this short, this last little segment. We've got plenty of video to upload to make 15 minutes or so. So there again, this is kind of going to wind it up for the repair work on the door. I want to thank everybody that takes the time to watch and comment, and like, share, whatever you need to do. Any comments appreciated. Any advice is always welcome. So till we do it again, we're going to leave it right here, YouTube.